Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a 2D character controller in Unity. This is going to be our player, just holding a sprite, and I'm using the Sunnylad as link in the description. We're going to start by creating a new script. We will start by declaring the necessary variables we need for our character. Simply what we did here, we're going to use these variables to control our character. The speed is for the speed, the jumping power is the power of first jump for our character. The ground check, we want to check whether we're on a ground or not. The layer mask for the ground, we want to identify what our character can move on and what he can. We're going to use the rigid body 2D to move our character. And this volume is for facing right or left. Simply what I did here is that we create this function that it return a boolean. We're going to use the ground check to actually check our character is on ground or not. This is going to be the radius of our circle and the layer to identify the ground. It will return true if it's actually touching or actually colliding with a game object that hold the ground layer, which return false if not. And we're going to make a flip function to make sure that if we are moving right, we want our player to be looking right. And if we are going left, we want our player to look left. We're going to use the fixed update function to update the velocity of our rigid body. Since Unity calculates physics in the fixed update instead of the normal update, we're going to use it to make the calculation for the player movement, since we are using the rigid body, meaning physics, to move our player. What I did here in the update, we're going to use our horizontal to check whether the player is going left or right. I'm using the old Unity input system, so it will be 1 or -1 or 0 if the player is not moving. And we check if we press the jump button. So if we press the jump button, which is any key, it depends on the setting you have, and our player is on the ground, we want to simply jump by adding the jump power to the y-axis of our rigid body velocity. And if we want a lower jump or a very high jump, we can control this. If we want a higher jump, we simply press a long press on our jump button. And if we don't want to, simply we release the jump button. We decrease the y velocity of our rigid body by half, so our jump will be lower. And we keep calling the flip function just to make sure that we're actually moving and facing the same direction. Let's test this out. I'm going to use this as our player. I'm going to attach the script to it. Simply we need to add a rigid body. We're going to freeze the rotation so our player won't rotate at any time. And I'm going to add a box collider. I'm going to add a physics material. I'm going to zero the friction and bounces. Now we want to add the layer of our ground. I'm using the Sunnyland as I mentioned, link in the description. We made a tile and these are going to be the ground. So we want to add a new layer. We go to add layer. I'm going to put ground. And since I want these tiles that needs to be our ground, I'm going to add it to the layer. Just remember that our tile map has a tile collider. Now let's assign our variables. I have this transform to be the ground check, and the layer is going to be ground. I'm going to put speed 3 with jumping power 12. Alright, with all this we're ready. A quick note I made earlier, just make sure that the is facing right. Start with the direction of your player. So I forgot to put it true, that means that our player is already right. That's why it goes the other way around. And yes, here we are. I can go a small jump. I can make a higher jump. And so on. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and would like to see you next time.